Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. I dusted off my oldest and most precious t-shirt for this intro. If this t-shirt was human, it would be shaving and looking for an apprenticeship. It is that old. My question for you today is, what do you do if your great-grandfather was a watchmaker, part of the Swiss watch industry, and you used to be a motor racing driver? Well, the answer's pretty obvious, isn't it? You make watches inspired by motor racing. And that's exactly what Dan Brigham of the Marchand watch company has done. Now, I've looked at a number of motorsport inspired, usually chronograph pieces on the channel so far, but none has gone quite as far as this legacy model. It's got a checkered flag on the dial of the watch. Perhaps not the piece you pick up on a Monday morning to head to the office, unless of course your office happens to be the Indianapolis Motor Speedway or Silverstone. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. It really rather is a case of this plus this equals this today. So Dan sent me an email a couple of weeks ago, said, hi, would you be interested in reviewing one of our Debonair quartz models, the Marchand watch company's first model? I said, I'd much rather look at this legacy that you've got live on Kickstarter. So this one's on Kickstarter currently, a couple of days left to run. It's reached its target, no problems there at all. So this one is definitely going ahead. So how much are you paying for one of these watches if you're interested? Well, Marchand are UK based. I believe there's one place left at £199. That's about 265 US dollars. Thereafter it goes to £225, which is just under 300 US. However, if you find a friend and buy two of them, a friend who is another racing nut like yourself, you can bring that down to £180, which is at 230 US dollars. So not overly priced given the set of specs that I'm about to discuss. So I should point out that this one is a prototype. If it looks a little banged up, it's probably been around the world a couple of times already. So, unusual case as you can see today, perfectly circular, 42mm in diameter, though I was wearing this one all day at work and I would have been hard pushed to tell it was a 42. It wears smaller than that. 12.5mm thick, but check the lug tip to lug tip. Hidden lugs today, which brings the lugs right inboard, effectively a lug tip to lug tip of 32mm. So I reckon it's a 42 that even guys and girls with much smaller wrists could wear, no problem at all. This one on the supplied perforated racing style leather strap weighs in at 80 grams. High polished 316L stainless steel case today. And as you can see there, nice little M for Marchand on the crown, and we've got the laurel wreath, the winner's wreath, a nice little touch on that. And this kind of knurled bezel, I mean the bezel doesn't rotate, but kind of looks like a radiator cap or an oil cap from a vintage engine. I'm guessing that's deliberate. And there's the Marchand Watch Company logo etched into the side. Not normally a big fan of that, but as there's minimal branding on the dial, I think it gets away with it no problem at all in this case. And the dial itself has got quite a lot of texture to it, in spite of the fact that it's printed. That inner section with the checkered flag is recessed, and we've got a nice frame around the date window there just above the 6. So quite a lot of detail on the dial in spite of the fact that it is just printed. Minute track all the way around the outside. And as you can see, a rather interesting handset. Quite a dominating second hand, the orange there. But obviously the orange only colour to the point where it intersects that orange ring. So a very nice little touch. And as you can see, perhaps you spotted it earlier on, this one contains a high beat 4K Miyota movement. So very smooth sweep on the second hand. I don't think that would have worked as well with a Seiko NX35 or one of the lesser Miyotas, but works quite nicely because they've chosen a high beat Miyota in this one. I'm not quite so convinced by the hour and minute hands though, I'm afraid. Skeletonized, as you can see. I think the minute hand is quite large. Unfortunately, on that black and white checkerboarding though, the hour hand kind of disappears. It's not all that legible. Perhaps it would have been more obvious if they hadn't skeletonized that hour hand. If you're considering one of these, there is a carbon fiber dial model, which takes away the checkerboard and it's got a carbon fiber finish to it instead. That one looks a lot more legible from the photos. So if legibility is an issue, then perhaps go for that one. But hey, not calling this a novelty item, but it's certainly not a kind of all day, everyday piece. You'd really have to be a racing car nut to wear this one to work on a Monday morning as discussed.
But if you are a racing nut and want to wear this every day, it has got double dome sapphire crystal with AR undercoating and 100 meters of water resistance, including a screw down crown. So there is a degree of practicality about it in spite of its slightly eccentric looks. And the Loom is thoroughly decent. I got a bit of a surprise. I'm in and out of darkened rooms at work and looked down at my wrist today and noticed lots and lots of BGW9. Love the fact that they've gone for the kind of full Arabics, the 01, 02, 03, 04 and so on. Really balances out the dial, and lots of Loom on the hands as well. Soft and comfortable. Stitched perforated leather racing strap, very comfy when I was wearing it out and about today, but an unsigned buckle. I'm not sure whether this is just because it's a prototype. I had a look at the photos in the Kickstarter campaign. There's no sign that they're going to do something with that one. Perhaps they will, perhaps they won't, but a little disappointing. Always nice when the collars match the cuff, so to speak, on the strap. Back to the case back then, and the little inscription on the left, the legacy of Ademir Marchand. That is Dan's great-grandfather, who, as mentioned, was a watchmaker. And on the right, we've got the Miyota 9015, 10 atmospheres, and all stainless steel construction. And right in the middle, one of my all-time favourite movements of all time. It's the Miyota 9015. Always a pleasure to find one of these in a micro brand under $300, rather than the ubiquitous NH35. Always nice to look at them as well. I really do enjoy this movement. Nicely decorated, bit of Geneva striping. It's an attractive rotor, and you can see the balance wheel whirring away in this one. Usually pretty accurate and pretty reliable. The stated accuracy of these is -10 to +30. So you're getting a solid Japanese-made 24 dual movement with a 42-hour power reserve in your Marchand legacy. And that's it on my 7-inch wrist. Super short, hidden lugs, means it just sits like a little disc on top of your wrist. Looks pretty cute, I must say. Nice perforated leather racing strap. Very, very comfy when I was out and about with this one. And zoomed a little further back for perspective, those polished surfaces certainly catch the eye, as does that checkered flag patterning on the centre of the dial. So a nice story behind this one then, and good to see a watch company doing something a little bit different. They're certainly creating a range of watches, not copying anything else that's out there on the market, that's for sure. And you can't argue with that set of specs for under $300. Always nice to see that Miyota 9015 in any watch. You already know whether you're interested in this one or not. Perhaps it's for guys who have 15-year-old James Hunt t-shirts. Oh, hang on a minute.
So there you have it, the legacy by Marchand. A nice nod to Daniel, the owner of the company's great-grandfather, and his own history as a racing car driver back in the UK. Perhaps not one to buy if you're looking for the only watch you're going to wear for the next 15 years. It's a little bit too quirky for that, but a nicely made watch with a cracking movement and a decent price point. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.